Now, let me explain something to you because a lot of people don't want to hear this, but it's the truth. See, a man can truly love you. Yes, he can. His feelings can be real. When he looks at you, there's warmth. When he holds you, there's comfort. When he talks about the future, he might even believe every word coming out of his mouth. But here's the problem. Love and connection are not always the same thing. A man can have real feelings for you and still be emotionally tied to his past, and that right there is where most women get confused. See, when a man tells you he loves you, he might not be lying. The way he looks at you, the way he shows up for you, the way he makes plans with you, all of that can be genuine. But love by itself does not automatically mean he is disconnected from every emotional bond he had before you walked into his life. And this is where you, watching me right now, need to lean in and really hear this. Feelings and attachments are two different things. A man can develop new love while still carrying old emotional weight. He may not want that other woman anymore. He may not see a future with her. But if he hasn't processed that chapter, if he hasn't healed from that chapter, if he hasn't completely closed that door, then a part of him is still standing in yesterday while trying to hold your hand in today. And you can feel that. You feel it when he hesitates to define things clearly. You feel it when her name still carries emotion in his voice. You feel it when certain topics make him defensive instead of calm. That's not your imagination. That's emotional residue. And emotional residue is powerful. It lingers in conversations. It shows up in arguments. It reveals itself in moments of distance. Now let me speak directly to you. Just because he loves you does not mean he is fully available to you. Love is a feeling. Availability is a decision. And until a man has emotionally detached from his past, he cannot give you 100% of himself. He might give you effort. He might give you time. He might even give you loyalty in his own mind. But if a part of his heart is still processing another woman, you are not receiving his full presence. And here's the thing most people won't say. Sometimes men don't even realize they're still connected. Men don't always process emotions the way women do. A woman will sit, reflect, cry, talk it out, and heal intentionally. A man might distract himself, jump into something new, convince himself he's fine, and never truly unpack what he felt. So when he meets you, he believes he's ready. He believes he's moved on. But unresolved emotions don't disappear just because he found someone new. They surface later. They show up when he compares. They show up when conflict reminds him of the past. They show up when the other woman reaches out and he doesn't respond with indifference, but with emotion. That doesn't automatically mean he wants her back. It means he hasn't fully released her. And if you're building something serious, that matters, because you cannot build a peaceful future with someone who is emotionally divided. Even if the division is small, it creates instability. You will feel unsure. You will question things. You will sense something unfinished. And over time, that uncertainty turns into anxiety. So when you hear me say a man can truly love you and still be connected to another woman, understand this clearly. Love alone is not enough. Healing must happen. Closure must happen. Emotional release must happen. Until it does, the relationship will always feel slightly off balance. You deserve a man whose past is settled, not lingering. A man whose heart is clear, not crowded. Because when a man is truly free emotionally, you won't have to guess. You won't have to compete. You won't have to wonder. You'll feel secure. Love without full commitment will always create confusion, and confusion is where most relationships begin to slowly break down. A man can look you in your eyes and say, "I love you." And in that moment, he might mean it with everything he feels. But if that love is not backed by a clear decision, a firm commitment, and emotional exclusivity, then what you have is uncertainty wrapped in affection. And let me talk to you directly. You cannot build stability on half steps. You cannot feel secure with a man who hasn't made up his mind completely. When a man loves you but refuses to fully commit, emotionally, mentally, publicly, what he's really saying is, "I care about you, but I'm not ready to choose you entirely." And that space right there is where doubt grows. See, commitment is more than just being in a relationship. Commitment is clarity. It's when a man eliminates other options without you having to ask. It's when he draws boundaries with anyone who threatens your peace. It's when his actions line up so cleanly with his words that you don't have to question where you stand. But when he's still connected to another woman in any emotional way, his commitment becomes blurred. He may still answer her calls. He may still check on her. He may still feel responsible for her feelings. And every time that happens, you feel a shift. You feel like something is competing with you, even if he swears it's harmless. Now, here's the truth most people don't say out loud. A man who is fully committed does not leave emotional doors open. He doesn't keep just-in-case connections. He doesn't entertain conversations that could reopen old feelings, because when a man decides, he decides with finality. When there's no full commitment, the relationship lives in a gray area, and gray areas create insecurity. You'll start overthinking small things. You'll question his tone. You'll analyze his reactions, not because you're insecure by nature, but because you don't feel chosen with certainty. Love feels warm, commitment feels safe, and you need both. A lot of men believe that loving you should be enough. They think if they're not physically cheating, if they're not actively pursuing someone else, then they're doing nothing wrong. But emotional loyalty is just as important as physical loyalty. If his heart is still entangled somewhere else, even slightly, you will never experience full peace with him. And here's something powerful you need to understand. When a man is truly committed, you won't have to beg for reassurance. You won't have to compete with another woman's memory. You won't have to wonder if you're temporary. His behavior will make you feel secure without you asking for it. Commitment is when he says, "This is my woman," and his life reflects that statement. His boundaries reflect that statement. His priorities reflect that statement. But when he loves you without fully committing, he leaves space for doubt. He leaves room for emotional triangles. He leaves you standing in a position where you're hoping instead of knowing. And hope is not a foundation. If a man is serious, he doesn't protect old connections at the cost of your comfort. He doesn't keep emotional ties that threaten your security. He understands that love requires sacrifice, and sometimes that sacrifice is letting go of the past completely, because real commitment means closing doors, not keeping them unlocked. If he hasn't made that decision fully, then what you have isn't solid. It's temporary comfort mixed with uncertainty, and over time, uncertainty exhausts even the strongest woman. You deserve clarity. You deserve certainty. You deserve a man whose commitment is so clear that confusion doesn't even enter the room. When a man is still emotionally connected to another woman, it blocks true intimacy with you. And that's something a lot of people don't recognize at first. You might think intimacy is about chemistry, about physical closeness, about how often he calls or how sweet he speaks. But real intimacy is deeper than that. It's about emotional presence. It's about vulnerability. It's about two people standing fully exposed with nothing unfinished pulling at their hearts. Now listen carefully. A man cannot be fully vulnerable with you if part of his emotional world is still tied to someone else. He might share stories. He might laugh with you. He might even plan with you. But there will always be a limit, a wall you can't quite explain, and you'll feel it. You'll feel that there's a depth he's not reaching with you. Emotional connection to another woman creates comparison, whether he admits it or not. When something reminds him of her, when an argument feels familiar, when a memory resurfaces, it interrupts the bond he's trying to build with you. Not because he wants it to, but because unresolved emotions have power. They don't disappear just because he's in a new relationship. And here's what happens when true intimacy is blocked. Conversations stay surface level. Arguments don't resolve deeply. You never feel fully chosen in his quiet moments. There's always a subtle distance. He may pull back emotionally when things get serious. He may avoid certain discussions. He may struggle to open up completely. That's not random. That's emotional division. Intimacy requires emotional availability. It requires a man to say, "There is no one else occupying space in my heart." If another woman still holds emotional weight, whether it's love, resentment, guilt, or nostalgia, then that space is not fully yours. And intimacy is about space. It's about knowing that when he thinks about his future, you are not competing with a memory. It's about knowing that when he shares his fears, he's not filtering them through lessons from someone else. It's about feeling like you're building something new, not inheriting something unfinished. You see, when a man hasn't disconnected emotionally, he guards parts of himself. He may not even realize he's doing it, but he protects certain feelings. He avoids revisiting certain wounds. And in doing that, he prevents you from fully knowing him. And if you can't fully know him, you can't fully bond with him. True intimacy feels safe. It feels open. It feels like there are no hidden emotional attachments lingering in the background. But when he's still connected to another woman, there's always tension underneath the surface. You might not see it every day, but you'll sense it in certain moments, especially when vulnerability is required. And let me say this clearly. You cannot compete with emotional history. If he hasn't processed it, if he hasn't healed from it, if he hasn't released it, then that connection silently shapes how he shows up with you. You deserve a man whose heart is fully present when he's sitting in front of you, not half in today and half in yesterday, not partially healed, not emotionally distracted. Intimacy thrives on emotional exclusivity. It grows when two people invest fully in each other without unfinished chapters interfering. If another woman still occupies emotional space in his life, even subtly, the intimacy you build will always feel incomplete. And incomplete intimacy creates quiet dissatisfaction over time. You deserve depth. You deserve emotional transparency. You deserve to feel like the only woman influencing his heart, not one of two energies pulling at him. Because when a man is truly free emotionally, the connection you feel with him is undeniable, uninterrupted, and unshared. Words of love mean absolutely nothing without decisive action. Let me say that again so you feel it. Nothing. A man can tell you he loves you every single day. He can text it, he can whisper it, he can post it, he can promise it. But if his behavior does not match that declaration, then those words are just sounds designed to keep you comfortable. Love is not proven in poetry, it's proven in decisions. When a man truly loves you and is ready for you, he does not leave gray areas. He does not leave confusion. He does not leave another woman wondering if she still has access to him. Decisive action means he draws lines clearly. It means he makes uncomfortable moves if necessary. It means he prioritizes your peace over someone else's feelings. Now here's where many women get stuck. You listen to what he says instead of studying what he does. He says, she's just a friend. He says, it's nothing. He says, you're overthinking. He says, I would never hurt you. And because you care about him, you want to believe him. But belief without evidence turns into self-deception. If he truly loves you and he knows another connection makes you uneasy, he will eliminate the threat without you begging. That's what decisive action looks like. It looks like boundaries. It looks like cutting unnecessary communication. It looks like transparency. It looks like choosing clarity over comfort. A man who is serious does not negotiate his loyalty. And here's something powerful you need to understand. Decisive action requires courage. It's easy to say, I love you. It's hard to confront a past connection and say, this chapter is closed. It's easy to promise a future. It's hard to sacrifice familiarity. It's easy to reassure you with words. It's harder to back those words with permanent change. When a man delays action, when he avoids making clear moves, when he keeps explaining instead of resolving, that tells you everything. Because when a man is sure, he moves with certainty. He doesn't stall, he doesn't hesitate, he doesn't keep emotional backup plans. Decisive action removes doubt. If he says he loves you but still entertains emotional conversations with another woman, his actions are contradicting his words. If he says you are his future but refuses to close the door on his past, his commitment is incomplete. If he says you are his priority but protects someone else's access to him, he is divided, and divided love will exhaust you. You should never have to argue a man into choosing you. You should never have to compete with history. You should never have to constantly request reassurance. A man who is deeply in love and ready will naturally act in ways that protect the relationship. Because love is not passive. Love takes action. Love makes adjustments. Love makes sacrifices. Love stands up and says, this is my woman, and I will not create space for confusion. That's decisive. And let me speak directly to you right now. Stop measuring his love by how passionately he speaks. Measure it by how boldly he acts. Measure it by what he removes from his life. Measure it by how quickly he fixes what threatens your security. When a man is serious, you won't have to decode him. You won't have to interpret mixed signals. You won't have to guess. His actions will answer every question before you even ask it. Because real love doesn't hide behind words. It proves itself through choices. A woman must never compete for a man's divided heart. Let that sink in. You are not in a race. You are not in an audition. You are not applying for a position in a man's life while another woman is still standing on the stage. The moment you feel like you have to outperform, outlove, outsacrifice, or outlast another woman just to secure your place, you are already standing in the wrong position. Love is not a competition. When a man's heart is divided, it creates silent rivalry. Even if he never says it, even if he claims nothing is going on, you will feel like you're being compared. Compared to history, compared to memories, compared to shared experiences you weren't part of. And that comparison slowly chips away at your confidence. You start asking yourself questions you never used to ask. Am I enough? Is she better? Does he miss her? What did she have that I don't? And now instead of building love, you're fighting insecurity. Not because you lack value, but because you're standing in emotional competition. A secure relationship does not make you compete for peace. If a man is fully yours emotionally, you won't feel like there's another presence in the room. You won't feel like someone else's shadow is hovering over your connection. You won't feel like you have to constantly prove your worth. But when his heart is split, even slightly, you feel like you're sharing space. And here's what's dangerous about competing for a divided heart. It makes you shrink. You start overcompensating. You become extra understanding, extra patient, extra forgiving. You tolerate things you normally wouldn't tolerate because you're afraid that if you speak up, he'll drift toward the other connection. That's not love. That's survival mode. You are not supposed to earn a man's full attention by suffering quietly. You are not supposed to secure loyalty by being the cool girlfriend who doesn't question anything. You are not supposed to prove you're better than another woman. If a man truly values you, he eliminates the competition himself. A mature man understands that divided loyalty disrespects the woman he claims to love. He doesn't put you in situations where you feel compared. He doesn't entertain emotional triangles. He doesn't allow access that threatens your confidence. Because when a man is sure about you, he protects you from unnecessary insecurity. Now listen carefully. The moment you start competing, you lose leverage. Why? Because you're subconsciously telling him you're willing to fight for a position that should have already been yours by choice. And a man who sees that you'll compete may never feel urgency to fully decide. You teach people how to treat you by what you tolerate. If you tolerate divided affection, he will continue dividing it. If you tolerate emotional confusion, he will continue benefiting from it. But when you stand firm and say, I don't compete, I don't share, I don't accept half-hearted commitment, you shift the power dynamic. You remind him that being with you is a privilege, not a negotiation. A confident woman understands her value. She understands that if a man is unsure, she does not beg for clarity. She steps back and lets him figure it out without her sacrificing her dignity. Because real love feels chosen, not contested. If you ever feel like you're battling another woman for emotional space, pause. Step back. Ask yourself why you're fighting for something that should be freely given. The right man won't make you compete. The right man won't create rivals. The right man will close doors without you asking. You deserve a heart that is fully available, not partially reserved. And you should never have to win someone who claims he already loves you. True love requires clarity, courage, and a clean break from the past. And a lot of people say they want love, but they don't have the courage to create the conditions for it. Because real love isn't just about feelings. It's about decisions that cost you something. It's about standing firm when it's uncomfortable. It's about closing doors, even when nostalgia tries to pull you back. If a man truly loves you, clarity will follow. You won't be confused about where you stand. You won't be decoding mixed signals. You won't be wondering who else still has emotional access to him. Clarity means he makes it obvious. It means he communicates openly. It means his life reflects his choice. But clarity requires courage. It takes courage for a man to call his past and say, this is over. It takes courage to block access that once felt familiar. It takes courage to disappoint someone who used to matter. It takes courage to let go of emotional history and step fully into something new. And here's the truth. Some men love you, but they lack the courage to detach completely. They don't want to hurt the other woman. They don't want to deal with confrontation. They don't want to close that chapter because it feels final. So instead, they try to balance both worlds. They tell themselves it's harmless. They convince themselves they can manage it. But divided emotional loyalty is not harmless. You cannot build a powerful future while keeping a soft landing in the past. That's not commitment. That's fear. A clean break is necessary because emotional residue always finds a way to interfere. If he keeps old conversations alive, old memories accessible, old doors slightly open, those things become emotional distractions, and distractions weaken focus. And without focus, love cannot grow deeply. A man who is serious about you understands that the past must be respected, but it cannot be preserved. There's a difference. Respecting the past means acknowledging it happened. Preserving it means keeping it emotionally active. And if he keeps it emotionally active, then part of him is still invested. True love demands emotional exclusivity. It demands that when he says you are his future, he is not secretly protecting yesterday. It demands that he risk being misunderstood by someone else in order to protect your security. It demands that he chooses discomfort today to build stability tomorrow. And that takes strength, because letting go is not easy, especially when history is long, especially when there were real memories, especially when there were real emotions. But maturity means understanding that you cannot carry two emotional timelines at once. If he truly loves you, he will make the break clean. Not gradual, not halfway, not we still talk sometimes. Clean. And when it's clean, you'll feel the difference. There will be no tension when her name comes up, because it won't. There will be no defensive reactions, because there's nothing to defend. There will be no lingering emotional energy pulling at him, because he has cut it off. That's what courage looks like in love. And let me speak directly to you. Do not accept less than clarity. Do not accept half detachment. Do not accept promises without visible separation from the past, because you deserve a man who walks toward you without looking over his shoulder. When a man is truly ready, he doesn't drag yesterday into tomorrow. He closes it, locks it, and builds forward with confidence.